Who is right and who is wrong? Democrats say they're right and Republicans are wrong. Republicans say they're right and Democrats are wrong. As a first-term legislator, I've learned a lot during our 126th, but nothing has been more eye-opening and troubling than the partisanship I have witnessed in this place. We so often seek to vilify the other because they see the world through a different lens. We say things like Democrats are just interested in buying more votes, or Republicans don't care about poor people and want them to die. Neither of which is true. But somehow we've gotten to a place where it is no longer okay to have a different point of view. Nowhere has this divide been more apparent than in the discussion of whether or not to expand Medicaid. Ask my wife and she will tell you, I've spent more time awake, lying in bed, thinking about every aspect of this issue than any other issue we've debated in these halls. You see, ideology knows the answer before the question has been asked. But principles are something different. They are a set of values that have to be adapted to circumstances, but not compromised away. So really, what has kept me awake is not ideology. Rather, it's been how to reconcile my principles without compromising them. In some ways, a vote for this is wrong, because individuals whose income is between 100 and 138% of the federal poverty level have access to affordable insurance now. This, for me, is the rub. You see, these individuals have options. They can go to the exchange now, and they can get covered now. And I support that approach to them getting coverage. But as structured, the law hurts people between 0 and 99% of the federal poverty level, because the authors thought that the Supreme Court would rule in favor of mandating that states cover people up to 138%. And these people, the people between 0 and 99, would be covered. But that didn't happen. They gave states a choice. They gave you and I a choice. I believe we need to cover the individuals from 0 to 99 and have the individuals from 100 to 138 on the exchange, but that is not an option. If we are to receive coverage reimbursement from the federal government, the only option we have is to cover people 0 to 138. In many ways, this is a vote for the people from 0 to 99. These are the people in the equation who keep me up at night. So here I am stuck in a position where I have to take a vote on something, and I think both sides are right to a certain extent. But there is no purple button on this pad. We must choose one side or the other. Given the situation, I must go with what my heart tells me to do. The real problem here, my friends, is the cost of health care. Until we fix the real problem, we're constantly going to be having this battle in these chambers. And in the end, the most important people, our constituents, are not really going to win. I hope we can come together to start addressing that problem. My mind says that take the money for the next two and a half years and cover these people. My heart tells me that if we're going to do this, we must introduce a free market element to reduce the costs in the long run. Before I won my election in the summer of 2012, I found myself in a precarious position. I was going to be turning 26 in December, and at that point, I would no longer have coverage under my mother's insurance plan. As a self-employed individual, I was nervous. I remember thinking, what will I do when I do not have insurance any longer? It was something I had always had through my parents or previous employers, and had never really thought much about it. This would be the first time that being self-employed would align with a period that I did not have insurance coverage. Fortunately, I did not have to worry about that for long, because I turned 26 4 days after we were sworn into office, which brought with it full medical coverage, and my concerns around this issue were gone. But I often wonder, how many young individuals in Maine forego starting their own business because of concerns with how they will afford health insurance? I do not know the answer to that question, but in a state where we are trying to keep young people in Maine, I think it's important to provide many of them with coverage until they get themselves to a point where they can afford it on their own. I will never compromise truth for the sake of agreeing and for the sake of getting along with people who can only get along when we agree. It would be great if we could agree to disagree without resorting to attacking each other for our differences. Maybe a world like that is a fantasy. Last year we took a vote on a very controversial budget. I voted in favor of that budget even though I didn't like all aspects of it, because I thought we had come to a middle ground. In my speech, I said that compromise is not a dirty word, and I still believe that to be the case. This bill is a valiant attempt to find a middle ground, incorporating many principles that are important to me. In the end, my heart says there is a better way to administer MaineCare. The truth for me is that managed care is a way for us to do this, now. The proposal allows us to cover those who need it most while addressing the issue of better managing our program, and I will be supporting this motion.